Hello, dear friends. This is Kathleen again, Kathleen Whitehead. Usually I'm channeling on this channel, but sometimes I interview um, magical people. And today I have the honor and pleasure of introducing you to my friend Bruce Foster, who you might kind of think of Santa Claus when you see him, and there's a reason for that. And we'll talk a little bit about the Sanity Claus, which is his part of his mission. I met Bruce through our mutual love of Bigfoot, and we had the honor to attend a Bigfoot conference um, a little over a year ago, and we've been friends for a little while. So, and he's very magical, and he's had some wonderful experiences lately, and I would like to hear about them. I have purposely asked him not to share so we could save it for this. But meanwhile, just let me introduce Bruce Foster, my friend and man of magic and mystic. And I'm just going to ask Bruce, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Kathleen. Glad to be here. Hello, everyone. And I first of all want to just say is the Sanity Claus thing. It came to me years ago, watching the Marx Brothers and going through it was a night at the opera and they were signing a contract and they were tearing the contract apart and they got to the final part and it's like, well, you have to, if you go insane, somebody, this, that, and the other thing. And he says, well, what do you mean by that? He says, well, it's the sanity clause. Everyone has it. He says, well, everybody knows there's no sanity clause. So that stuck with me. And now that, when I married late in life, I ended up having all my step grandchildren at the wedding. And so at that age, I was designated Santa Claus, and I had to color my beard a little bit, but now I don't have to color it anymore. So I like to get into the spirit of Santa, and I think that that's a good reminder of the season that we should hold in our hearts throughout the year, and of love and joy and compassion and excitement and magic of Santa. Now, we know that Santa is a commercialized version of what Christmas represents. And we know that we pay homage to Christed beings, to the Christ that came through for us 2,000 years ago and honor him. But there's more to it than that. And there was a priest or a bishop back in the Middle Ages, and his name was Nicholas, and he tried to help those people in his parish that needed money, needed clothing, needed food and housing. And that's how he started giving to those that helped. And then he was sainted because of that. So Saint Nicholas is where it all started. And then it's developed from there. But I just want to put that out there that I am projecting and honoring the spirit of Saint Nicholas to spread joy and peace and comfort around the world.
We need, and I'm seeing the spirit, that spirit of Santa Claus at this time. I'm I we are I'm seeing a lot of generosity and a lot of people reaching out to help other people who are struggling at this moment. So
Mhm.
it's so very appropriate right now. So
Yes.
so thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. I'm glad to know how that came about.
Yeah. Now a
So
little bit about me is that, I'm just average guy. I was born and raised in Michigan, and low to middle income family. We really didn't have any want, we or didn't feel any lack. We were provided for, and we had a great family life with, I was seeing one grandmother or the grandparents, one or the other side, every weekend it seemed, but obviously it wasn't quite that much because I sure had to have time to play baseball. But anyway, I grew up and then the family broke up. My mother and father got a divorce, and I graduated from high school and wasn't sure what I was going to do. And decided to go into the service. So I was in the Air Force for 4 years, got out, tried to go to college, and decided, well, I'm ready to go back in the Air Force, and went back in and continued traveling around the world. But things started to get a little bit hectic. I was changing jobs and I didn't have the experience and the knowledge of other people that may have had as many years of service and a rank that I had. And so I didn't really understand trying to figure out what was going on with a new system or a new job and then be how to figure out to be in charge. And it cost me some grief and I ruffled some feathers myself. So I just decided when it was time, they come out of nowhere and they offered me a free out and I left. So I didn't stay in for a career. Somebody said, well, you had 14 and a half years. You could have done the rest standing on your head. Well, I tired of standing on my head, so I got out and struggled for a while, but finally got a decent job with a good retirement working for the state of Colorado, and that set me up to then. I met my wife there, and we had a decent relationship. We butted heads quite a bit, and then it got to be a little bit more hectic and more problematic, and I decided to leave. But I've been on a spiritual quest all my life, um, not really realizing it in a lot of cases. My first memory is of a child. I am a twin, identical twin, and we weren't in a crib, but had twin beds in the same room. And I remember waking up at night and looking up to the ceiling and seeing praying hands just come down through the ceiling like this, and they were huge. They took up half the room, and then they just went back up in the ceiling and were gone. And I don't remember ever telling anybody about it, and being 2 or 3 or whatever age I was, that didn't stick with me. And it was many years later when the memory started popping back. And but my mother was psychic, and I heard a lot of things she was saying. And as we were growing up, she had a whole bookshelf of paranormal books on spirituality, reincarnation, UFOs, ghosts. And so, I had the library available to me, and I didn't really partake of it as much as I should have or could have. And but that was my basic training on that. And then I got into life again and, went in the service and spent a lot of time traveling around Europe and just playing ball year round. That was what I did in the service. That wasn't my job, but that was my hobby. They had intramural sports, so I just played and I really enjoyed it. But when I got back in again, I started getting into the management level and started having issues. When I went back in, they had me forcibly cross-trained so that I was just always new. So anyway, that was that story, and I got out of that, and I went to Denver. And Denver, the spirituality there was wide open. It was, advertisements on the bus benches and the big signs along the road and everything for the metaphysical stores or the psychic readings or whatever. So it was available, and I started getting into it and started developing my skills and learning a little bit about what was going on. And I met somebody that really helped me open up. I count or look at her as though she was my mentor. And we stayed together though for a number of years until we went separate ways. But I opened up quite a bit and learned quite a bit about past lives and my spiritual gifts. I was having all kinds of visions and information come through me, and then that kind of left that, and I started back into real life, and everything kind of disappeared for a while, and then I experienced all these other things in my life, and never really got back heavy to the spirituality until about the time that I got a divorce and was now by myself again and just kind of seeing a few things. But I moved back to Michigan, and before I did, I went to Montana and connected with a great spiritual group there, and they really helped me as well. We had full moon meditations and discussed certain things, and visited different sites in Montana where I was at. at the time. Well, I decided to come back to Michigan, and it wasn't too long after that when COVID hit. And the whole purpose of COVID was a spiritual shutdown of the planet so that people could get ready for what's coming by going within and do self-reflection and learning who they are. Well, people didn't do that. They just complained and bitched about having to wear a mask, and they still went out drinking and partying and having a good old time. And but a lot of people did. And so there is a spiritual awakening going on because of those that did and those that are coming around, and the planet is ascending, and that's what I'm here to do, is to assist in the knowledge necessary for people to learn who they are spiritually and find out what they need to seek or what they need to clear, what is keeping them from reaching their ascension, becoming a Christ being themselves. So that's the information that I put out. And that's what the Sanity Clause is all about. It's on YouTube at the Sanity Clause, one word, 2024 are my videos. I've got about 70 some odd videos out there. I've been putting them out for a year, and I'm learning as I go. So I'm passing out some information, and I may get clarification further on down the road and go in and out. If I do have something to update, I'll change it. So anyway, that's what that's all about, and I'm putting out those videos. And I put out one that was 12 minutes long that was saying we are who we are, and I was explaining who I was and what I was doing and what my purpose was. And I've had over 100,000 views of that video. It's unbelievable. I think I've had maybe 10, 15, 20,000 at some of the other videos, but that many is just really has taken me by surprise. But in the past year, or since the first of the year, I've got 48,000 subscribers. So the word is
Wow.
getting out. The word is getting out, and I'm my purpose is to be seen. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job because I'm doing the promotions on my videos, which allows me to have my videos pop up in the short or a promotion for them in 106 countries. So I do have a large following in India and in the Southeast and Southeast Asia, and even more so than in the United States. But all around the world, I'm getting known, and then my future mission is to become a celebrity of the new world, the new earth, because the ascension that the earth is going through is a creation of the higher dimension earth. We're leaving the third dimension and all its greed and power hungry and wars and all the things that have been forced upon us, the slavery, the enslavement of our beings, of our souls, of our right to live a long and happy and prosperous and abundant life. And so going through the Christ consciousness pathway, which is what Yeshua, or in his Roman name, Jesus. Personally, I don't like that name. I don't use it, and I have inside information. He doesn't like it either. So his name is Yeshua, and he taught that God, heaven was within. So it's all within the heart chakra, the love of loving yourself, loving everyone, loving the God's experience on earth. And then you connect yourself straight to God and you become God. You are a co-creator because you're now creating your life, and therefore what's going on, it helps with what's going on the planet. If you're just wandering through and not aware that you are a co-creator, you're just accepting happenstance and experiences that come to you for as best they can get them to you. And then you got to learn what that's supposed to mean. Well, there's no guidance out there when you're doing that. You've got to, and not everything is good because it's all created by your thoughts. And if you aren't in love with yourself and you're thinking some bad thoughts, or you're afraid, if you have a fear based thought, guess what you're going to create? So that's what we're learning to do, learning to master the emotion and the thought process to stay away from fear-based thought and again, putting out love and light and trying to be friendly and helpful to everybody. So that's what that's about.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm learning a lot. So you are a spiritual mentor to thousands, and you are reaching a lot of people, and and you're also having some of your own personal experiences. I know that you have had a variety of interests. We learned about each other through our interest in Bigfoot, and we each one have um, several different ways of being and experiencing. Each of us has to experience on our own. It's their individual journeys of people who are part of the one, but having the individual experience because we've chosen that illusion of separation, and that's how we experience things. But
Right.
so I know that you just took a beautiful trip and to France, and I would really like to hear about that. Um, and I'm sure everybody else. By the way, I may need to learn how to promote. I feel I'm supposed to reach people, but I don't have near the following that you do, but that's okay because I feel for myself if I reach one person and help them,
Yeah. Hmm.
then that's a successful day. But I don't know much about how to promote myself, so
I can
I may be
surely help
off.
you with that.
So,
Yeah.
but tell us about do you mind telling us about
No,
your
no.
experience with Mary Magdalene?
Yes, I would. I would be more than happy to tell you. I
Thank you.
A part of my spiritual growth and being on the path and learning. First of all, let me just say is that it's not so much that we're learning these concepts or about these beings or about who we are. It's the reality is we're remembering. Our soul
Exactly.
already knows all of this, and we have been indoctrinated and programmed to think that we are lesser than what we really are, and therefore those things are something that's either evil or we just don't believe in, and so we lose our access to them until we can clear our minds of these um, imprints on us that keep us from reaching our own spirituality. As I say, the God within, and not following the Romans. Let's just say. I'll get into that a little bit, but anyway, so one of the things I found out was that in there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that is kind of crazy, and it's like, what am I looking at? But there's a lot of good stuff on YouTube. And your higher self, your soul, your connection to God is going to guide you to something. Now, you may have to use discernment. You might see something and you're going to look at that and go, whatever. Well, skip it and maybe you'll come back to it later if you're not ready for it. Or you got to determine, well, there's somebody purposely leading you astray. That's an issue I've had to deal with over the past few years. I've received so much information that is contradictory. And I thought that things were just going one way and then the other, one way and then the other, and it's not. I'm getting good information and I'm getting purposeful bad information to prevent me from reaching the level I need to reach. And I'm really just starting to come to realize that. But anyway, all of a sudden discovered tarot card reading. Now, I had known about tarot cards before, but I never really got anything out of that and wasn't sure about it. But it is divination. It is your angels, your higher self working with you, point you in the right direction, giving you clues. They say it's for entertainment purposes, but there's some good clues there for you to consider. Now, you got to keep in mind that they're going to what they call their collective, and they're putting this message out to maybe hundreds or 1,000 people that are following them, and it'll sound like they're talking directly to you about you. Well, they are. but they can do that. There's more of us doing it than just yourself. But anyway, that's the start. You start following it. And I followed a young lady. Her name was Erica Lopez, and she's at the Gypsy. Let's see, what was it? Gypsy Cowgirl Tarot. And she talked about she was going to finally at a point where she wanted to have a spiritual retreat, and she was going to connect with her friends in France to do the Mary Magdalene retreat. And I thought, hey, I want to do that. And I signed up for it. And it was like everything fell into place. It cost some money and I had to work through that, but everything fell into place because I was meant to be there. And they knew it and I knew it. And it all worked out. Now, Stellar Fairbairn and her partner, John Omar, they run this program. They've been doing it in different places. They're Irish and come from and spent a lot of time living in England as well. But they have been doing this Mary Magdalene retreat through the spiritual connection to Mary and Yeshua. And in fact, even we're doing it in Costa Rica for a while. But anyway, they were told to go to the area where Mary Magdalene ended up at the end of her life when she left the Middle East after the crucifixion, and Joseph of Arimathea took her to France, and she lived out the rest of her life there. And so that whole area where she was at is very sacred, and that's what this retreat was about. It was a spiritual schooling, information, and clearings to open yourself up to this information and then actually being at these sacred sites and feeling the energy. And maybe we did some prayers or incantations, or Stellar is a fantastic singer and a great voice and has just released an album. And you can find her, Stellar Fairbairn. You can look her up on Facebook, or you can check her out on Bandcamp. Is the connection where she's putting her album right now. But she's working with a gentleman who does all the music and the production, Greg Pruitt, and she puts in the vocals. And so she was singing songs to us, the Lord's Prayer in
Uh-huh.
Aramaic, so that it isn't edited. So it was just a great experience, and I really felt that the only reason I was there was to connect with those two, with John and Stellar, and they were just so great. We are so family. We connected. We love each other. We just had a great time, and we're staying connected. And so they have really been helpful for me to help me continue my up level, my spiritual growth on my path to Christhood, actually, which is something that, we all are capable and are supposed to do. We are all Christed beings. We just have to remember. So that's my whole purpose, is to open this up for everybody. You see, I may have 1,000 people following me or watching me. Well, no, I'm looking at 8 billion or 7.5 billion, however many people around this planet. Everyone is a Christed being that just has to remember it. Everyone
That
will ascend.
can I interrupt you, because
Sure.
I don't know that everybody understands or has even heard the term Christed being. So could you go in a little bit more information about what that really means? To me,
Right.
it means a being of love, a
Right. A
being.
being of love and high energy and of the Christos. It's a Greek word, high enlightenment, um, um, God-like, God self. And that's the way it is. That's why Jesus was the Christ. That's not his last name, as a lot of people joke about, and maybe they thought it was. But he was a Christed being, and his messages were to show us and tell us that how to do that, and he told us that we will do the same as him and maybe even more. So we are all brothers. He is not our Lord and Savior. The only person that can save you is you. And you do that by following his real information, which has been adulterated to make us believe that we are not capable of attaining those heights. And that keeps us down. The Romans and their war, their greed, their power, and let's you keep the people down and under control, but with bread and circuses, and that's their whole deal. Well, guess what happened to the Romans when they started to lose control? They changed their game, and they became the Roman Catholic Church in the fourth century. And they changed from being a Caesar, a emperor, to being a pope. And so it's the same game or same purpose, different game. The purpose is to keep us down, keep us from knowing who we really are, so that we don't rise up and become sovereign beings in our own right and live our life in abundance, happiness, joy, and spirituality. So I, I there's been so many different versions of the Bible. We look at Martin Luther, who didn't like Catholicism and didn't like the church that was running that and the power, so he separated, but he took the same message. So it was a step in the right direction, but not completely. And then the King James Bible, the King James Version. Well, King James, who replaced then Queen Elizabeth from Protestant, turned it back into the United Kingdom or Great Britain back into Catholicism. He decided he was going to rewrite the Bible. Well, that's why you see all the movies and there's thee, thou, and whatever. They didn't talk that way back in that area region of the world. That's all Old English. That's Henry VIII and over that 200 or 300 years, all surrounding him. Either way, that's the language, and that's why that is that way. But it's an adulterated message. It doesn't. There's little changes here and there that keep you from learning what the real message was. So that's all we're trying to do. The chosen, the 144,000 chosen by God. Well, are we the 144,000 of the rapture, where all good Christians go to heaven and nobody else does? No. No, we're the 144,000 beings on the path to Christhood that are here to come in first and set up and create the 5D, the fifth dimension planet. That the Earth is, Mother Gaia is ascending to the fifth dimension. And, if you don't want to go, you don't have to go. I don't recommend you continuing and perpetuating what we've already had for thousands of years, but if that's what you want, you have that choice. Everyone has free will. So I choose to not ascend physically and not leave and move into the fifth dimension. I choose to stay in the third dimension to do my mission of helping others get on the path, get on the road of their own ascension, so that they don't get left behind.
And I got a message about the 144,000 just now. It's the
Mhm.
base of 144,000, but each of those individuals will have influence over another 144,000 and then
Right.
another 144,000. And that's not really a static number. It might be 14, it might be 144, it might be 144,000, it might be 144 million, but
Right.
we are here, and I believe my mission is to bring love. Uh, I'm not as steeped in the history, and part of that is because I didn't grow up knowing about metaphysical things. That came to me as a 60-year-old person, and I
Mhm.
accepted it when I was 65. So I had a completely asleep first 50 years and then sort of stirring for the next 10, and then at 60 and then 65 I really I learned so much. So there's a whole lot of historical stuff and um, the basics that I have never been introduced to, which is okay because I believe for myself, I'm here to just be loved, to live a life that is unconditionally loving every single person, and I'm still working on that.
Right.
I know that I'm successful in a lot of ways, but then there are those that I have to figure out, okay, they are me and I am them,
Mhm.
but why do they trigger me? But that
Yeah,
that question is something in me that needs to be cleared. It's not
exactly.
something in them. So I consider them my teachers, and I'm grateful for them. But and there's many different ways to achieve whatever it is we're supposed to achieve. And I feel like my way is just to go forward in love and
Mhm.
to send out as much love and be that person. And I know that my belief of the new earth is full of love. And I would like to hear what you vision the new earth to look like.
Yeah, that's always kind of a tough one for me, just kind of to imagine, I mean, I'm going to be a part of that, and but I wanted to address some of the things you said first before I go into
Okay.
that. First of all, we are all at a level of where we are supposed to be at this time. And the bare minimum is to learn to love yourself. And if you have love in your heart, that's all that's really necessary for you to start progressing and get on this path. And your higher self, your God self, will put you in the right place with the right people at the right time to or show you a video or have you have a book fall off the bookshelf in a bookstore that's meant for you. All these things happen, and you just follow the path, go where you're led. And so intuition, very important. But anyway, the other part that I wanted to mention is yes, these people are reflecting. Everyone is a mirror, and they're reflecting back to you what is in your being that you need to clear to create more love or to release the blockages that prevent that extra love. And so if you run into somebody that's rude and obnoxious, you got to think, well, where have I been rude and obnoxious?
Mhm.
Where, and you kind of got to try to, you just got to recognize it, feel it. If you know how to clear it I clear it with the energetic means, transmutation with the violet flame. But just being aware of it and experiencing it and knowing that that's not, for you or you want to change is a good start anyway. And just release it back to God and let him turn it into light and take that darkness out of you. Now we all have darkness in us. It's God is the creator of everything, good and bad, darkness and light, but it's how you perceive it. Okay, there really is no evil in the world until you perceive it that way. So, what's going on with around the world right now, people are all hung up about the wars and the government and the different the woke beings who are canceling everybody, all this other good stuff. Just anything that can it'll set them off. All right. Well, somewhere along the line, yes, we have to have those people who are going to be able to, like the No Kings protest. They're speaking out. Okay, but you can't get caught up in it because what you're thinking and what you're focusing on is what you're creating. So if all you can think about is that this politician is evil or bad, he's destroying the country, you're giving the power to keep doing it. You're creating it in your life, in your world, and and it's a mass consciousness thing. There's a lot of people that think the way you do, and when you post it on social media, you're influencing other people to think that way, and you just keep repeating it and recreating it. So I disagree with a lot of things like that, and I'd like to see some changes, but I'm going to be the change by loving everyone and accepting that God has a plan and it's in place, and don't get caught up in the news and in the battles, the political battles, and let them work it out. Those people are in place for a reason and to do what they have to do. And you don't have to necessarily agree with it, but let's quit giving them power here. Let's allow God to do what he needs to do with those folks. Now, back to I hope that answers some of the questions that you had brought up there, but you wanted to know about my thought about the new world. Well, first of all, we're breaking down 3D world now. That's what Trump is doing. That's his position, his job, that God is, he's tearing down the old systems that are a part of what has kept us down, what has created this ceiling that we can't get above to experience our spirituality, because the 5D world is going to be love, light, abundance, joy. You don't have to work to make money to survive. There is no survival because everything is supplied. Abundance comes to you as you need it, when you need it, and ways will be created to do that. Now, people will still be working or doing these things, but because they love it, they enjoy it, they do what they love. There's plenty of people that are going to be building cabinets and houses and farming and, whatever to provide us with what we need to live a prosperous life. Money is going to be phased out completely. So there's going to be a transition, and I'm not exactly sure how that goes, but there's going to be a transition with the financial system now, and it's happening now. It's going to be real soon that we're going to know what direction we're going. But in 5 to 10 years, there won't be any money used on this planet. And from what I understand, we're the last planet in our universe that uses money like that. The rest is all on abundance and bartering and trade or just whatever, however that abundance comes to you, however God allows, however you create that to come to you.
I have
So,
actually transitioned my life into a life of gifting, bartering, and
mhm,
trust.
yeah,
So I do not charge for the services that I provide. I don't, I mean, I haven't monetized anything. But of course, to be fair, I'm retired and I have access to a financial support system of my
right.
own. But
Mhm,
I ask people what we can barter, or what they need, how I can help. And then but I don't expect uh, financial payment. And
mhm,
for me, that is because I do not need the I don't need to be valued based on that.
mhm,
Past that. And money doesn't hold value to me. Of course,
mhm,
it's easy for me to say that because I have enough money to pay my bills. And but others would think that I live in poverty, but I feel that I can trust if I want something, not if I want, because maybe I want a Mercedes, but not really, I don't. But But for instance, I know that I want to buy another camper, and I know that that will materialize in whatever way. And I've seen that happen. My trip to visit the Bigfoot country in Canada was a complete example of that. When I received the invitation to go to Canada, I said, this will take big magic I don't see how, but I'm not going to say no because it will take big magic. And the magic started almost immediately in that my passport, suddenly I have the money to pay for the passport. Then I the silly things, I don't fly um, for personal reasons, but I so I'm looking at trains, and one of the things that happened was that I couldn't find a train. There's not a train from where I live in central Indiana to Chicago, so I could make connections to get there. It's unbelievable, but we don't have trains, passenger trains. So I'm looking and looking, and I decided, well, maybe I just need to ride a bus. And I tried to reserve that bus 3 times, and my card, which had no reason to be declined, was declined 3 times. And I
Mm,
thought, okay, there must be another way, or this would have gone through. So this is the
correct.
message. You don't have to ride that bus. So I started looking, and Amtrak had a train from Mattoon, Illinois, which was about 2 hours west of me. So I told my friend, I said, now all I need is to get to Mattoon. And she said, oh, I got that. I'll take you. And she ended up taking it, driving me and picking me up. And I went on trains. I was 3 days, full days on trains to get to Vancouver. And then the
Mm,
most interesting thing afterwards, I dry camped for 5 days. I used a rollator. I took the rollator on the trains, and I made it the whole time. On the way back for my longest train ride, was telling someone that morning before I left, I said, I think I'm going to upgrade my coach seat because I spent that whole time in coach on the way, which was a whole lot better than being on a plane for 3 days.
yeah.
But I said, I'm really tired, and I just think I'm going to upgrade to a roomette. I get to the train in Seattle, and it was almost like it was a show because it was so much harder than it normally is for me to get onto that train. And the conductor said, well, your roomette is up those stairs. And I thought, oh, how am I going to get up those stairs and get the rollator and get all of that stuff going? And he said, but you're not going to go upstairs. You're going to be in this room down here. And I was put into a room that was big enough that I had windows on both sides. I had my private bathroom, all meals delivered to me, uh,
Wow.
and a bed, a sleeping area, everything. It could not have been more magic. And what I knew was the Sasquatch and whoever was so appreciative of me making that trip that they facilitated that.
Right.
I had to pay a little bit of upgrade for the roomette that I didn't sleep in, and I slept in luxury for 3 days. And I know that was part of it. That was thanks for coming, guys. This was
Mhm.
uh, and I had so many magical experiences with the Sasquatch that visited me. I saw the eye shine. I just had a lot of magic around that trip, and But what I know is that I trusted that I would have the money, which I didn't have to start out with. It cost me around $3,000, and I had
Hmm.
that paid off in less than 6 months.
Well, yeah,
And
very
it, you
nice.
know, if you look at my bank account, you'd think you can't do that,
Yeah,
but I did.
I know the feeling.
And and so I know that for me, trusting that I will be taken care of has been my reality since since the beginning of my journey, which was really just about 12 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And one of the things early on, I used to be driving along and thinking a lot in 3D, and I was sitting parked at a stoplight, and I was, how am I going to pay this? How am I going to do this? Where's the money coming from? And I looked up, and the license plate in front of me, letters and numbers. First, it was an Indiana license plate that the background said, "In God We Trust." But the letters and numbers were the my username for my bank accounts.
Ah,
And I just looked and I said, okay, all right, thanks. I no more worrying. You got
yeah.
me.
They know that, yeah, they don't know your bank account, so they just put something in it. But yeah,
I have I've been able to live with that attitude, and I was rejected. I went into a an apartment complex that was for lower income seniors, and I had given my notice at the other complex and done all the paperwork, and at the very end, I was rejected for a technicality. And so as I'm driving out, I see that they are building new apartments that are market rate. And I just said to the universe, I said, I think I would like to live in one of those. And you can take care of me doing that just as easily as you can reduce my bills. So let's just do that. I lived in that 5 years, never ever missed any kind of a rent.
hmm,
So many, that has been my life. I have so many stories. I should probably do
yeah.
a video of all the different ways that abundance has fallen into my lap because I trusted.
Right. And that's the main thing that I'm struggling with right now as I keep losing my trust. I keep trying to figure out who, how, why, when, what can I do to help? What can I, and it's just, that's just pushes it away. I have to give up control, surrender it to God, and just trust that it's going to happen. And I have been struggling, even though I've been climbing, I've been raising my level and learning these lessons. I still struggle with it in and out, and I think I finally hit a real good level of trust and faith again, that what has been promised will be delivered, and just accepting that. So that's the key to it is that, again, when you start thinking about where am I going to, what am I doing? Well, that's a fear-based thought. And
Exactly.
and so it's like, well, where's it going, coming from? Well, if you don't know, we don't know. But if you go try, I trust that God will take care of me. Well, now you know where it's coming from, and that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I've had experiences where I know, and I track my bank account because I was an accountant for 42 years, and that's
mhm,
just my habit. So I know what my budget is and I know how much money I have. And every once in a while I will be looking at that and I'm thinking, I shouldn't have this much money. And there's nothing that has put extra money in there, but somehow or another it balanced out to where I had more than I expected to have. And I just say thank you. I just say thank you. But I think it's important that to notice when those things happen and to recognize that was magic that just happened.
mhm.
And thank you. I'm in deep gratitude for that magic that you just gave me. And
Oh, you're
so
welcome. Oh,
well, yes, yes, as part, and I want to say a little something about my feelings of how we are God.
yes.
And that is, and I've always had this vision of the universe is kind of like a little blanket. That is God, or that is the source, or that is love. And I think that God is love. And at each so if you imagine a blanket, you have little cross points where it's been
Mhm.
woven. And at each of those cross points, there is a an individual who has decided, okay, I think I want to experience um, something different that maybe teaches me, that maybe pushes me. And we jump out and we take on these experiences of separation. And then as we learn, we're moving back up to be rejoined with the God that we are part of. And that's our mission is to find that essence of love, including the essence of love for self and for everything else, and the recognition that the that separation is an illusion.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to say something on that too earlier, and I about the duality.
Yeah,
Is that the duality is believing that God is separate from you or outside
yeah.
of you. And that's what the church teaches, even that Jesus is outside of us. Okay. Whereas what Yeshua was trying to teach is that we are all one. We are all the same. We are the essence of God incarnated, but we are God. It doesn't matter whether you're a drop of water or you're in a bucket or that bucket is poured into the river or that river flows into the ocean. It's all God. And
And
so that's what you got to believe in is that you are God and not be afraid to say it. I posted something that said I was an emissary of God, and as soon as I said it, I thought, what the hell am I saying? That's not what I wanted to say, but that's what got posted, so I figured that's what needed to be said at the time. But all my future posts, and that's the one I got 103,000 views on that video. Unbelievable, but
yeah, I just want to grow up to be just like you on YouTube.
yeah,
That
all
you
right,
know,
I know how to fix that.
well, we'll talk. I
We'll
I
try.
wanted I want to point out I feel like we've been talking maybe 20 minutes, but
Spend
we've
an
been
hour.
it's been an hour. And
Mhm.
so I really want to close this with asking you, what are you offering? And I know we have the YouTube channel and so forth, but how can people get in touch with you? What do you offer to the world? I think you've
Well,
covered a lot of that, but
mhm.
let's just
Well,
finish it
I'm
up
just
that way.
all right. Very good. I'm just in the still in the creation stage of building what I'm creating here with the Sanity Claus. Um, a lot of people give readings, and they chart or they hypnosis or whatever their spiritual calling is to help people, but then they charge three, $400, $1,000. Well, you'd already mentioned that about the money. Money is energy, and an exchange of energy is fair. But let's have a fair exchange. You know, I don't see where spirituality is to be for the rich and entitled. They need it. We all need it, but that's just it. We all need it. There's a lot of people that don't have money. So, however you want to do that exchange, that's fine. So, I want to make it free or low cost to the best of my ability. And I am going to have merchandise just to kind of help offset and to help people spread the word And I'm going to try to keep I'm not looking for a large profit margin here, just something to cover it. And then, of course, the materials and the shipping. I'm going to have, I'm going to be given abundance for me to make sure that that gets to the right place. I'm going to be doing that for God and trying to create businesses or to support businesses or charities or projects that raise the quality of life and spirituality of humanity. And that's going to be entrusted to me. But yet I've also been told that I'm going to be able to live the life I want to. I should be able to live in luxury and comfort and joy. So I'm going to be creating my own family coming in. I got things happening there. I'm going to be spending money on a large place where I can hold spiritual retreats and have rooms and places for people to stay and keep that affordable. It's like you spent $3,000 to or more, and I spent uh, twice that much or more, triple that amount to get to France. And nothing against the people that again, it's an exchange of energy, and it was worth every penny of it for me. But I want to make it as easy and as simple as for people to come, but yet they still have an exchange of energy to support what they're receiving by giving. And so there's going to be projects. I'm going to get involved in projects with maybe videos, movies, um, uh, doing publishing books, poetry. It's gonna be into everything, and I'm gonna be doing podcast. I'm gonna be doing continuing with videos. I'm gonna support people that do that and help them and bring them in the fold with me, and people who have other things that they can offer to my, like accounting and stuff like that, that can offer to what I've got growing. That these people are all coming into my life, and we're all gonna be together and do this thing for each other and for the humanity. And so that's what I'm looking to offer. But I don't have, I've paid for a website and a new email address, and I haven't got it all set up yet. But that's coming. And then the merchandise will be available about that time as well, and upgrades on what I'm putting out as far as the videos. So that's all in the future and hopefully the near future. And just to spread the word. Now, I have been told that my spirit and my being is powerful enough that I don't have to do anything but show up to places where I'm guided to go to heal people, situations, create projects that's going to improve their lives and everything just by showing up and being a part. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. As far as I'm concerned, I've already been to Mexico. I've been to France, and I've been traveling around the states. I've been going to these different conferences in Indiana and Ohio and South Dakota, and so again, that's something I'll probably be starting have my own conferences as well. So really looking forward to that and see what we can offer and how we can continue to open the eyes of the people that are aware of this, that need to at least be thinking about it so that they can connect with their inner self, their higher self, to start putting them on the path and following their guidance so that they can all reach ascension to and get to the new world. And it's not going to take all that much, and the best thing about that is that it's happening now, so there's a quickening. It's
Yes.
happening fast. So it may have taken me most of my life and a hard part of the last 10 years and part of 30 years to get where I'm at and do what I'm doing. And I've been working probably a little too hard sometimes for the past year or so, so they tell me. But it's going to be coming fast and quick. Now you got to clear pain and trauma, and it hurts. But once you come to the realization that you can release these emotions and the damage and the blockage caused by those emotions and hit that and clear it, boy, you feel great and you move on and say, well, that wasn't so hard, you know. And I keep looking back going, well, that wasn't that hard. Why couldn't I come to that realization earlier? But apparently I have to wallow in it for a few days or weeks or months. And as it's turned out, for the most part of a year, I've been in and out of wallowing. So it's time to stop that.
Well, I agree. It is quickening. And since I don't have that many years of study, but it also seems for me personally that it's all happened so fast. But I also realize that this is not my first rodeo,
Right.
that it came too simply. I have learned a lot about my childhood that I don't have memories of,
Mhm.
that that I was supported at that time, actually by Sasquatch, by Bigfoot, and
Mhm.
um, and other beings. And I know that I have contact through my channeling and everything. One of the things, though, that for me I want to end up with, and that is when I accepted that I would that this was me, that I was going to no longer be an accountant, and I was going to be some mystical person that felt very, very comfortable being that person, that I just said, okay, if you want me to do this, support me. I made this
Mhm.
deal with the universe, and it they have done that, and they have guided me, and I listen to the guidance. I follow my intuition. I trust, and I expect, not that I don't have to wallow once in a while. And I
Mhm.
know that whenever I have had to um, be in a darker place, I know that it is something I needed to learn.
And when you come out of it, boy, you jump timelines.
And I was in two dark nights of the soul during September.
Mm.
And I am very joyful now because I see the benefit. And that's one of the gift that I have, is that I've always been able to see the blessings in things that didn't look like blessings,
Right.
even before I knew anything about this stuff. So I'm very blessed, and
Yeah.
blessed with friendships of people who come into my life and agree to tell us about themselves in on YouTube. So
Do we have a few minutes? I want to cover something else real quick, and
go
it's
ahead. This is your interview, so
okay. Well, we had been talking about Sasquatch, and we've been talking about angels and God and spirits and whatever. It's all multi-dimensional beings, and we
absolutely.
ourselves are multiple dimensional beings. We exist in the third dimension, the fifth, sixth, seventh, whatever, and we're just remembering who we are to get to, as the fifth, and kind of then forget what's in the third because we're going to be in the fifth in that dimension. But there's still higher dimensions of us. But Sasquatch is a multi-dimensional being. They come and go in the
Absolutely.
third dimension, and they have great spiritual knowledge, and they're opening up. The time is right. They're opening up to people, and that is what that's brought us together. And when earlier, about a year ago, however long ago it was, when you'd done a reading with me, and in fact, it was over a year ago, and you had said that I wanted to know what my connection was to Sasquatch. You know, why is this happening? And you said that I've got the Sasquatch beings that are looking over me because I saw them when I was a child, and it was traumatic, and they removed that memory. And they said, the way you expressed it to me is they told you that I saw something I shouldn't have. So I just wanted to let you know, I wanted to find out what that was. And you said, it's not necessarily a good idea to bring those things up again. But I have found out recently that my mother and my grandmother were highly spiritual beings. And as children, as young children, they were in communication and contact with multidimensional beings, and
Mhm.
that they had basically being in northern Michigan had seen Sasquatch as well, and it scared them, and they didn't know what to do, and it stunted their spiritual growth throughout their whole life. And
Yeah.
that I have been in, I'm the next one to experience that. That's what's happened to me, but I am supposed to be working with the spirit and the energies of my mother and my grandmother to heal that for them and for me, and that'll allow more things to open up for me. So they say yes, that did happen to me, and it did happen to my ancestors, and so I just wanted to confirm that to you for giving me that reading. And
Well,
uh,
thank you. I don't remember readings
yeah,
because
I
they're
know,
not for me,
you're right.
but it's
And
nice
you're
to
in
hear
kind of
that.
in an altered state when you're kind of receiving that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and my own experience, I found out. I didn't realize that what they had done for me as a child, but they did intervene. But
Hmm.
they also um, allowed me not to remember things that were traumatic.
Yeah.
So I know, and yes, you are right. We are multidimensional beings. I experience that, and when I'm in altered states, I've been in all sorts of different dimensions. I was once in a dimension that is it's color. It's made up of color, but and it's like it has form, but it doesn't have form. And it's just it's very interesting. So anyway, do you have any final words that you
No.
would like to
Well, I
share?
just with you, I want to thank you very much for this opportunity. And
Well,
I
thank
do,
you.
and I do love you. And that was a great gathering interview we had here, and we got a lot of good information out, and I really appreciate it. This is really my first interview, and I think that it was very nice to practice, I guess, or to experience it with someone I know. Very
Well,
helpful.
and I that it's my honor to know that it's your first interview because
Hmm.
when you're working with those 8 billion people, I just
Well, there's going to
remember
be a
me.
lot of them coming.
So, anyway, and I love you as well, and love all the people. And I'm just going to say thank you to anyone who happens to find this. It will be on my YouTube channel, and I expect it will be something that you can share too.
Yes, I'm gonna share this to many different places. I should ask you if that's all right, but I knew it
Yeah,
would be, but I just want to let you know I will be.
and it's um, I never ever ever expected that I would be doing what I'm doing, but I
Mhm.
was guided to do these different things. I've learned a lot in the time that I've been using YouTube, and I never know. Even this interview process, that was a guiding thing, and I never expected to put anything on my YouTube channel except channeling, but
Yeah.
now I've got all sorts of different things, and I am willing to do whatever is for the highest good. What the universe wants me to experience and do, I'm willing to do,
Yep.
provided that it's within my I'm not going to do anything that is unpleasant for me, but I don't think they
Right.
want me to do that.
No,
So,
no. It's
but
what you love and what brings you joy,
yes.
and
So
you'll be able to do it. So, well,
I
I'm going to
thank
go ahead
you.
and try something here because I'm going to go ahead and punch off my video, and that might bring up that logo we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And then I'll let you go ahead and close out your video, and I should
Okay,
still be able to watch that. But again, thank you so very much, and thank you to the
thank,
people out there. And I am on YouTube at the Sanity Claus 2024, and maybe there's something there that might interest you. All right.
all
Thank you so
righty.
much, Kathleen.
Thank
I'm,
you.
I'm gonna
Much
try
love.
to. Bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Thank you.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute the mic then too. All righty.
Okay. Thank
Bye
you
bye.
so much, everyone.
Uh-huh.